The best analogy that I can come up for why Halo coming to PlayStation felt so anticlimactic, it's something that I did as a kid, and that was peeking at my Christmas presents before they were wrapped. And it necessarily took some of the potency away on Christmas morning when I would open something and I knew I was getting it. Now, that is not necessarily how I viewed Halo. I didn't really have this strong desire for it to go to a different platform because I have all the platforms and I've never been a very big fan of Halo. But that's how the Halo announcement felt. It was just sort of a thing that we knew was coming. But I also think it was anticlimactic for other reasons. I don't think this is as great as everybody is saying it is, and I'm going to talk about that more in a moment, because there are people who were very much invested in this game. And they feel like this is tectonic. They feel like this is a betrayal, and they're angry. And I think that is a legitimate thing to feel. There's been a variety of responses to this news. You've got the big-time PlayStation fans kind of rubbing it in, and they're celebrating. Big-time Xbox fans are angry. They're declaring that they're done with the brand. Some are declaring that this is the end of the console war. I actually argued recently, I don't think this was even a console war during this gen. It was kind of over last gen. And some are just rolling with the punches. You know, they're claiming, it's not a big deal, and some going further than that and saying, well, this is where the industry is headed. And a lot of receipts are being pulled on folks who probably wish the short-term memory of the internet would forget what they said in the past about exclusives and the future of Xbox. And if you really think about it, this moment in gaming history is a great opportunity to have a litmus test for authenticity. Let's just consider the folks who are angry and they feel betrayed. Maybe they even feel like they were lied to. I think they have every right to feel this. The famous Just 4 Games podcast was a pretty strong effort by both Xbox and willing participants to push a false narrative. And that narrative was, hey, calm down. This is not a big deal. The big tentpole titles are going to remain exclusive. The interference and the damage control that people were running for Xbox in 2024 is indefensible. It was clear what was happening, and folks refused to talk about it in a frank and authentic way. If you're angry, if you feel betrayed, if you feel misled, I think you should say that. I think you should hold the people accountable who were willingly help Xbox mislead the public. Now, on the other side of this coin, if you were out there trying to warn folks that this was coming, I think, as charitably as you can, you should be taking a victory lap. You should have a little of that I told you so energy. I think that's sort of warranted right now. This was an ongoing debate the last couple of years. And I think gamers as a whole right now, you can take a second to reflect, to analyze, pull receipts, see who has been authentic and trustworthy and who has not. Now, don't do this in an effort to shame anybody or attack anybody, but this could help you shift your attention to those who, even if you don't agree with them, at least they're being authentic. And that kind of brings me to how I feel about this. I have mixed feelings about this. First, I think it's kind of disappointing. In my view, strong exclusives drive the market. They push innovation. It drives this competitive spirit. And yes, it's great when a title is enjoyed by more people. Like when games get ported to PC, I'm always telling people, hey, buy those games. They're really good. But one of the reasons I think they're so good is because they had to be good. They were exclusives. They were tent poles for a brand. Well, not having that anymore from one of the bigger brands out there, I don't think is a good thing. I think folks really need to analyze what Xbox and even Matt Booty have been saying. Their diagnosis of the market is just inadequate, in my opinion. They're looking at consumer behavior in games like Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone, and they're projecting that as if it's symptomatic of gamer behavior as a whole, like everybody plays games this way. Even if you don't agree with me, and let's just say you think they're right, that yep, that's where the industry's going, people just want to be able to play everywhere and everything's going to kind of become like Fortnite. Is that really what you want? Do you want just a bunch of broad reach, high margin games aimed at soaking up as much attention and gamer hours and gamer spending as possible? Do you really think this focus from Xbox is going to result in strong, unique, bespoke experiences? I really have my doubts. So sure, celebrate a game going to another platform, but pay close attention to the philosophy and the views that Xbox is now espousing. The famous Just 4 Games podcast, there was a part where Matt Booty said that there are now some individual games that are larger than any single platform, and that really changed how they view things. He just recently did an interview where he said they're not really competing with another console, they're competing with TikTok and movies. Listen to what they're saying, like listen to the logic behind that. They're viewing access to games through the lens of Leviathan-sized titles like Fortnite, and they're admitting that they're really competing with attention-grabbing platforms like TikTok. So as I said, I've got mixed feelings about this. Halo going to PlayStation is not the starter pistol that many people think that it is, especially in light of the recent Bloomberg report that Microsoft wants really high margins from Xbox. That's probably why this feels anticlimactic to me, not just because I knew it was coming, but also because I know this is not as rose-colored as some people are trying to make it out to be. This isn't just the end of an era, it's the beginning of a new one where one of the largest property owners in gaming is taking an approach to gaming that I believe will lead to diluted games, canceled games, and closed studios. So yeah, Halo coming to PlayStation, I think signals that. It might not feel that way, but this is a changing of the guard. This is a changing of entire philosophies of a company, and I really hope that I'm wrong, but they are signaling things that don't sound like a very promising future. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave those in a comment below, or swing by the live stream where we'll be discussing this, and as always, hit like, share, and subscribe so I can see you in the next video.